Hey everybody, it's me Edward Jones back with a new video, book review, and like a lot of people who are, who are privy to the subject of SHTF, and recognize this, On Killing by Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman. This is a book I saw on Irish's channel. I believe at least once. I've seen it on General S. Lee's channel, and a very good book. I don't agree with everything, which is normal to not agree with everything on the subject. But I don't agree with everything that Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman talks about, especially when it comes to violence in video games. A good amount of research has been done and condensed into this book, where it talks about what are the psychological effects on a soldier, more so, well, really a human being, but more so on a soldier when he is forced to make the decision as to whether he'll kill or not kill. And something that's been interesting was always, you've always heard, when adrenaline gets rushing through you, there's either two options: you either fight or flight. Well, something I read in this book was that there basically are really four. There's fight, flight, as we're all familiar with. There's posture, in which you would fire, but you would miss. You would fire more so. Really, it's to scare not to inflict injury, but to scare them away. You would shoot overhead to keep your enemy at bay. To kind of give an opportunity for those who are built to kill, or who are conditioned to kill, rather, to go ahead and do their job. And then there's surrender, in which you just basically succumb. You've given up. You succumb to whatever the enemy has in store for you, because you have because of the refusal to kill. And it's pretty interesting. It talks about in the book that a lot of soldiers posture. They'll choose to fire overhead, or what happens is you have very few number who will actually do any killing, and a lot who will do other tasks to try to separate themselves further and further away from the actual job of killing. There was an interesting chart in this book. Also remember coming across, and it talks about range, and it talks about how the range in which you are from your here we go, the range in which you are from the physical distance from target, and its relation to the resistance to killing. And I don't know if you can make this chart out, right? This chart right here. But all the way at the bottom, it says max range bomber artillery, and that goes all the way to far. And so basically, the farther you are away from killing, or at least seeing your target face to face, the least amount of resistance there is to killing. Well, it says over here, in close range, is basically sexual range. There's a higher resistance to killing when you're that close. And right in the middle, it says, handgun range, hand grenade range, mid rifle range, close range, which will be pistol or rifle. Right above close range is bayonet range. And one of the things, and basically it gets into how it's easier for some soldiers to kill than others, and when it goes into how far they are from the target. I remember one part of the book he talks about how it's even been turned to like a video game for a lot of soldiers, where they just look on the screen. They're not actually in a field. They're not exposed to the same elements their enemies exposed to. They're in a comfy office with a computer in front of them, and it's almost like they're playing a video game. And they're desensitized to the killing that they're actually doing, because they're using drones. I guess a step below that in terms of proximity would be using bombers or artillery strikes. But like I said, it's a pretty interesting book. If you wonder why some people refuse to kill when their life is on the line or other people's lives on the line, this book gives a lot of good points as to what happens to a person, and what could affect the decision that they make. There was an interesting story. I believe it was in this book is in the Congo. I believe it was a Belgian soldier, if I'm not mistaken. And he was faced with this. He witnessed witnessed the result of a gruesome act. It was a raping and a mutilation, and he was faced with the decision, whether to kill these men who were involved. And the men who were involved knew they were dead on the spot, but they basically they tried to fight back, and his commander wound up coming in saying, "What are you doing? Kill the shoot these men," and he hesitates, and so his commander, and I think he kills one, but his commander kills the other two that are involved. Um, but it's like I said, it was an interesting story. I do recommend it if you're interested, and if the topic is interesting to you. Another thing that was mentioned that was very is worth noting. It talks about Vietnam, how you had soldiers who were going back for multiple tours. Some people, and one soldier mentioned this in the book. I think he's unnamed in the book. He said that from what he was exposed to, a lot of soldiers, they won't admit it, but they actually enjoy the job. They enjoy the thrill of killing. And that's not to say that they're monsters, per se, but it's just something that they got a rush from doing it, and so a lot of them went back to serve more, so they can continue that get that rush that they had before. But this is an excerpt from the Washington Post on the cover, an illuminating account of how soldiers learn to kill and how they live with the experience of having killed. So it's a book worth checking out. Please tell what you think if you read it already, or if there are any discrepancies in what I've talked about in terms of what was in the book. Please share your thoughts in the comment section or make a video response. Please check out Irish, which is his channel's name is Hibernia's Son. He's called Irish. Check out his channel as well as General S. Lee's channel. Any gripes, complaints, send me a PM. I'll see what I can do to address them. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Book review on Killing by Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman. I'm Edward Jones, and thanks for watching.